When you come to a fork in the road, take it. The Yankees' famed catcher Yogi Berra is alleged to have said. Over a century ago, scholars interested in Jesus' parables came to a fork in the road, and many of them took it, mostly in one direction and not the other, with dramatic and not altogether beneficial consequences. First, picture the fork. A parable is a literary performance in which a story, example, or image from our world of experience or imagination is compared to God's kingdom. To put it even more simply, a parable brings two things together and lays them down, side by side. On the one side, something literary, usually a story, and on the other side, something theological, the kingdom of God. That is the fork in the road. And to understand parables and how they work, we need to travel down both paths, the literary one and the theological one. For the most part, however, modern parable scholarship has chosen to traffic the literary path more than the theological one. Banishing allegory. The first modern scholar to hijack the bus and insist that it travel down the literary road was the enormously influential late 19th century biblical professor at the University of Marburg, Adolf Jülicher. His massive 2-volume treatment of Jesus' parables, Die Gleichnisreden Jesu, first published in 1888 and 1889, dominated parable scholarship for nearly a century. Jülicher argued that what a parable is, in terms of literary form, governs to a great extent what it can mean, and that, sadly, for 18 centuries, churchly interpreters made a huge, basic mistake. They misunderstood what a parable is. They thought parables are allegories, but they are not, insisted Jülicher. They're similes. Jülicher began his study with a 120-page survey of the history of the interpretation of the parables from the patristic period up to the 19th century. And he found that history to be a garden overrun with toxic weeds. What the church got so wrong, Jülicher said, was that it saw parables as literary allegories, which are codes in which every detail stands for something outside the story. As C.H. Dodd describes the allegorical approach, each term of a parable was a cryptogram for an idea, so that the whole had to be decoded term by term. When the parables are defined as allegories, Jülicher railed, then the meanings of those parables can be known only by cracking their codes. Small wonder the interpretation of those parables degenerates into a confused mess.